Well, good morning. Thank you first and foremost for your time right here. This is not the first edition of the festival, but it's a new format for this. How long has it been in the works for relaunching the Song Summit?
I'm going to correct that real quickly because it really is the first iteration of Song Summit, because it's just not, it's like, let's say Mercedes puts out a minivan, right? And then they also put out a plane. Yeah, they're both Mercedes, but completely different things. And so, yes, it's still me, and yes, it's still Park City, and yes, it's music. But we call this our inaugural year at Park City Song Summit because it took me all through COVID last year and then all of this year to really bring this vision together and to bring it to fruition. And it was something that was born out of the need to do a deeper dive for the artists and the creative process and really the celebration of song. And so over that time period, I was able to connect with a number of other individuals that are, in the, quote unquote industry, who shared my vision and saw that it could be a very novel, unique thing that doesn't exist in America. And we could do it right here in the beautiful mountains of Park City. And, we have an amazing airport here. We have amazing properties for people to stay in if they're from out of the area. We have great restaurants and retail and trails and streams and golf courses. So it's such an amazing destination place, period. And it's such a growing music hub. You put those two together, plus the intention I have around, making sure that we support those that are in need, both within and without our music industry, that are struggling with mental health issues or addiction issues. You've got this recipe for something that A, is novel, and B, is magical, and C, hopefully people will want to come to each and every year the weekend after Labor Day.
Yeah, you make a very good point that it's a unique destination of a festival. For example, I can't say, oh, it's the South by Southwest of Park City. Oh, it's the CMJ of Park City. But what were some of the conferences or the festivals that inspired this format for you? Because it is a unique format.
It is, and you've noted two of them, and Aspen Institute and TED Talks, and heck, I'd even throw in Between Two Ferns, right? Because there's going to be some great comedy with Fred Armisen and Leslie Jordan, right? And so it was my from my heart, this feeling of I teamed up with Jay Sweet who's the CEO of Newport Jazz and Newport Folk, or the executive director, I should say. He and I became musical brothers and real quickly, and just sort of like life friends forever. And he too, helped take this idea and have it take form, not unlike the way an artist writes a song, if you will, or a painter paints a painting, right? And those are the types of things we want to explore. And in wanting to explore that, we had our own creative process as an overlay to be able to try to capture this creative spirit that could be shared with the audience and for the artists to share with one another, but really to create something that was different in that we invite every artist to be artist in residence here. So to an artist, of the 100 artists, we ask them all, come and stay for the week, right? Bring your families, bring your friends, bring your crew, and come, and we will put you up. We'll give you ground transportation, and we will allow you to be our guests. We would so we literally send out invitations. So that's a very different kind of feel. Yeah. And we invited them to come for the week, which is a completely different feel. And because the response was, wait, you're saying that even on the days I don't play, you're going to pay for my hotel room and put me out? It's like, yeah, because we want it to be this respite for the mind, body, and soul, a real vacation for people who come, they just need to breathe, and they need to, in their busy touring schedule, or for both audience and artists alike, right? Like summertime's come and we're all just running around, we're seeing this event and that event. And so that's why we took the word festival out of our name, because we don't see ourselves in this lane of, even though I love them, Bottle Rock, Bonnaroo, Coachella, Lollapalooza. We're not that.
Mhm.
And if you were talking about things that we are more like, that we did build this concept off of, we've been, and this is something that, makes me smile and cry at the same time, that we are very much like a sort of a Newport West. So if you think about Newport, right, since, the granddaddy of them all, right, been around for 60 some years, and they have these deeper conversations. They are about inclusivity. They are about bringing topics that might not be comfortable to everyone and bringing them out in the open and discussing them and having, legitimate, grown up, discussions around some very tough topics, and also some very fun topics and some easier topics, right? But a lot of things that matter to people who love the medium of song and love the medium of music.
Mhm.
So when you talk about the shoulders that we've stood upon, they are broad and they're big, but as when any musician sits down to create a new song, right, or a new orchestral piece, or when any artist goes to sit down and paint, they are undoubtedly inspired by something or someone, right?
Mhm.
Some place. I mean, how many times has Notre Dame been painted? And so how many times have someone written a song that is DCG, right? The chords of DCG, right?
145. Yeah.
Right, 145. How many? I mean, there's a reason you and I say 145 and know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
because it's a format, right? So I would say that the world itself is the palette and the arc of our human experience, anthropologically, sociologically, and in an evolutionary type thing. We all have learned from stories, right? Cavemen and women, they etched stories on there about the big hunt, or
Right.
storms that came through, or their spirits that they prayed to, or were in fear of, whatever that might be, right? But they sat around campfires and they told stories. Those stories ultimately came into song, and dance was born of rhythmic beats and African drumming and things like that, that ultimately you start to bring together rhythm and you bring stories together, and then you start to bring notes and chords into it. And then everyone stands on the shoulders of whoever those first people were that said, oh, this is 4/4, right? These are the 12 notes we're going to use in a chord, in a scale, right? All those things. So I would say that, not unlike any creative, we stand on the shoulders of others. We're inspired by them. But if we're truly trying to do something different, then we have something that's considered pioneering, right? Or novel, or, progressive, or in a new sphere. We want to be in a new sphere, and we're okay if other people want to come join us. But we believe that the artists have an opportunity to just kick back a little bit, listen, be as part of the audience as much as the stage, and to recharge and to share and to learn and experience in the beautiful mountains of Park City. And so in our mind, this is like a wonderful idea that just hadn't been, it's a great painting that just hadn't been painted.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned before over 100 artists playing the festival. And if it's still okay to call it a festival rather than the summit.
I like the summit better. I want to go with the summit.
The summit.
Yes.
Lots of artists playing it. And credit goes to you and team, because not to slag Lollapalooza, I had a wonderful experience interviewing Perry Farrell a couple months back. But when I look at that poster, I go, I've heard of 7 artists on this. And then I look at yours and I go, Gary Clark Jr., Elvin Bishop. The list goes on and on of like, these are legitimate headlining artists, festival artists, big time, great people that I listen to. I'm curious who the first was to come on board and go, I'm with this, because oftentimes you have to have that first artist to bring in all the others, almost like Wayne Stock and Wayne's World 2.
Yeah. Mavis Staples.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Mavis is kind of that gateway artist, because if you look at the previous history and then what she did with Jeff Tweedy, that is kind of that uniting artist.
She's the queen of soul, man, that currently exists for my money, for my liking. She's royalty, I should say, right? And so, there's some really, really strong women in this industry that have been around for a long time that I just, for me, they're hallowed ground. Dolly Parton's one of them, and Mavis Staples is another, and there's plenty other ones, Stevie Nicks and others that are just, they were trailblazers, right? And Mavis has seen it, been there, done that over and over, and she is a real inspiration. And so she was one of, if not the first, to be a part of this. And so, not surprisingly, she is the last performer on the stage on Sunday to close out what will be our inaugural Park City Song Summit. So, yeah, we do have a number of recognizable artists, but there are, out of that grouping, there are a lot of people who you might look at, especially on the songwriters in the round list. As you know, there's two posters. One is more the labs and performances, and the other one is our songwriters in the round. And they are, listen, they're the meat and potatoes of the industry, right? They're the people who spend every waking hour thinking about song with a guitar in their hand, thinking about writing down lyrics, going, they're troubadours, right? They're just going from one place to the next, and they're playing small clubs, larger festivals, this and that, right? But you won't necessarily hear their name on the radio, but you will hear, everybody from Tim McGraw, Garth Brooks, and George Strait, and a whole host, Lady Antebellum, a whole host of artists who have gone on to win Grammys and, top 10 hits, top 1 hit, album of the year, artist of the year, all those things. But you may not have heard about a lot of the people who are the ones who actually sat down with their muse and a pencil and paper and took an emotion or an experience or, something that had occurred, a time, place, a location, and they distilled that with their muse into something that 3.5 minutes can be life-changing for you and me and other listeners. So that's part of the reason that, I love them and love having them here. And then they can tell the stories behind some of these songs that you and I may have heard, but we would have no idea who actually wrote it and no idea what it was written about or when, right? What that was. And that is some of the that experiential thing, that magic that goes on, that biochemical reaction with the audience and the artist is palpable and indescribable. It's one of those things where you have to be there. Like in that room, in that moment, there is a connection that's fully charged with energy and frequency that you just go, wow, she's telling my story. He's telling my story, whether it's about their, their challenges with drugs or alcohol, their challenges with a divorce or, suicide or, getting married or, their first date, that whatever those things are that make up our life experiences, the patchwork quilt of our life, they take little pieces of those patches and all of a sudden it comes into something that is, life-changing for them, life-changing for us, and maybe the artist that ends up playing it, but also it ends up on, our playlists. And it's like, why does Darren and Ben choose a particular song to be on a particular playlist for a particular thing? A wedding, a funeral, a trip to the beach, a road trip with the kids, camping, whatever that may be. There's something really, really cool there that if you're a music freak or music nerd like me, you want to dig a little deeper and find out about that. And this is where you're going to find out about it, is Park City Song Summit.
And it's really great to hear how on board the city of Park City is with this festival. As a New Yorker, I have to say, you see some festivals are endorsed by towns or cities. Other festivals, it's like you're paying the fees and you're giving jobs. Great, but we're not going to do anything for you. We're not going to give you transportation, etc. So it's great to see how on board Dan and everybody there is. So was it an easy sell, or did you have to go, hey, no, trust me, this is all in place? Because the vibe I get from my 2 prior trips to Park City is that everybody is on the same page in terms of wanting to grow it as a city, but at the same time, grow it in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, overgrowth has been a consideration and concern here within our community for a number of years due to a lot of different factors. And one of those is, yes, a lot of people want to come here and have all manner of different types of quote unquote festivals or conferences and things like that, right? And as with any city, You can't have it to be all comers are welcome, right? You have to have some, regulatory process in place to determine the yeses and nos for people that want to come or organizations that want to come.
Sure.
And so in recent years, there's been an enormous pull on city services and really the community when it comes to parking and traffic and city services that are needed for, police, fire, EMS, and just, there was a little bit of fatigue there. So, so I'm a park guide, and so it's founded, funded, operated, and run by parkites. So that is one thing that I would say weighed in the pro column for us if we're looking at pros and cons of us presenting anything to the city.
Sure.
Second thing was that we intend to be good stewards of it and try to use as little of the city services as possible, and to really put that on our budget and our personnel. And so that's always a biggie. We haven't asked to shut down Main Street or parts of Main Street and things like that. So that's another biggie for them. We are, we have zero initiatives, and of course those are bold initiatives, but we want to hopefully become a zero waste event over time. So we want to be good stewards of the environment, good stewards of our community when it comes to our waste. We want to be as the least amount of disruption that we can cause is what we're seeking. But also it's an event that is very much in line with a lot of the city goals when it comes to inclusivity and discussions about social justice, or just being inclusive in our artist lineup, being inclusive in the causes that we support. Because mental health and addiction are so important to me. I'm 14 years in recovery and have dealt with these issues, these diseases, and in some cases these demons myself. And I'm very grateful to those who were there to help me. And so a huge part of what we do is much more than just music. It is working with 3 local charitable partners, and it's actually about 5 that we are benefiting through our megaphone, so our voice and our dollars. And so we're really proud to partner with them, and they're doing really great work in the Latinx community with mental health, in the youth community with regard to mental health and addiction, both prevention and recovery, as well as Summit. So those are Communities That Care, which is a wonderful organization, Jewish Family Services, and the work they're doing in the Latinx community for mental health, and then Summit Clubhouse, which is part of Clubhouse International. So it's a wonderful home that's here that we'll be contributing to and bringing awareness for, where people with addiction issues, mental health issues, are coming in each day and doing job skills and job training, or getting their GED, or getting their advanced degree, et cetera. And they're just, working on trying to be a part of society, and job placement is huge. Job training is huge. And so these are the types of organizations that our DNA runs in their DNA. And so that, I think, was another big piece, hopefully, that the city would look at and consider that what we're doing. And also that we are, it is for local. So we have local songwriters involved. It helps with our restaurants and our hotels and our retail, of course, but that there's a larger issue here, which is we want to be here year in and year out, and have this be something that our city and our community can be very, very proud of, as bringing arts and culture to the foreground, and to discuss these really meaningful topics in both a performance format as well as in a live conversation format. So I think that the support that we've gotten is because, I think that they know me, and they know that I will do everything in my power to make this fit within the community's goals and guidelines. And they know my team. My team has been working in this town for anywhere between 15 to 20 years, depending on which parts of the team. And that we really have our compass set in the right direction, that we're not coming to use Park City. We're coming to, supplement its already wonderful, wonderful, guidelines and objectives that it has.
Do you have time for 2 quick questions, or at least for me, they're quick questions, and then I'll let you roam free?
Okay.
Okay, first question I have. When I arrive there for the Song Summit, I am definitely going to be checking out restaurants, Do you have a recommendation for a great burger or two in town? And I know it's hard to play favorites, but let's
Yeah,
face it, I'm going to be having 3 or 4 meals out a day, but
yeah.
a good burger recommendation?
Yeah, well, burger slash just great food, So, the cabin, yes, it's a music hall downstairs, but they have great food upstairs. So the cabin, the spur has great food, and they're right across from each other. So you could do lunch at one and dinner at the other, right? Um, for breakfast items, they have a great brunch at the cabin on I think Sundays, but also,
Mhm.
the eating establishment is a great place. The restaurant Tequila is a good spot at the top of Maine. And for like nighttime dining, there's anything from grappa to chamayo to 350 Maine to some of my favorite sushi is Yukiyama and shabu. So those are my two. My wife and I go back and forth because we love both of them. So for sushi, you can't beat shabu and Yukiyama. Yeah, I think of course River Horse is there too. So Chimayo tends to be one of my top ones that I go to if it's for nighttime dining, but daytime dining, or if it's a more casual dining, I love going to the cabin, and I love going to the Spur, and of course No Name Saloon is a great place for burgers as well. So there's a lot of great alternatives there. For sandwiches, I like the Back Porch. Oh gosh, where are some of my other? I mean, I eat a lot and I love food, and so I can always find something up and down Main Street for sure.
It sounds like I have homework to do, and the challenge is going to be catching the great gigs and workshops while eating my way around the town. So looking forward to having those problems. The
Yeah,
last
and
question,
there's gonna be great food at Deer Valley too. Don't forget. So they have picnic baskets that you can order during the day, which are phenomenal. And then the concessions there, we're working with them to develop the concessions that we think are the best for our audience, and they've been wonderful and lovely to work with. So there'll be food at Deer Valley, and we'll be announcing here in a couple of hours that all of our indoor venues are moving outside. And we will be using the grounds at Deer Valley. We're building out a second stage.
wow.
So we'll have 2 stages. Yeah, you're the first to hear this. So there'll be 2 stages, and it will alternate back and forth. And then we will have Lab Village. So you'll go through the lodge, and in lot number 1, there'll be 2 beautiful, huge, vibed out lab tents where our conversations and our labs will be going on. And then we'll have a songwriter tent there, as well as a songwriter in the round for free on Main Street down in Courchevel Plaza. So for people that are on Main, they'll hear some good music from our songwriters in the round. They can get some good food there, and then they can head out to Deer Valley for the day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, it's probably for most folks, it's an easier ticket to buy because now they can buy one ticket, see 8 or 9 of these wonderful artists you've been talking about, and in between go down and seeing labs and songwriters in the round, and they can make a day out of it. They can bring the family because all ages are welcome. And of course we've got new vaccination protocols that are coming out today too. So all of our artists, all of our attendees, our ticket holders will all have to be vaccinated and show proof of vaccination. All of our staff will be vaccinated and masked. And our artists will either be vaccinated or they'll do a 48-hour negative to enter. And all of them will be tested upon getting into town. So we'll have rapid antigen test stations, and we'll have hand sanitization stations and mask stations, and everyone inside will be like for hallways, bathrooms, green rooms will be masked up, and there'll be frequent sanitization there in our green rooms. So this is all coming out in about an hour and a half, so that people know what our new COVID protocols are. We really care deeply about the health and safety. And when I say health, I mean physical and mental health of our artists and their camps, our audience, their families, as well as our staff and their families. So I'm going to listen, this is not the greatest financial decision for me, but money and politics have nothing to do with this decision. This is all about trying to, work with my I've been working with top infectious disease experts. I've been working with the local, C-suite members of the local health organizations here. I've been working with Summit County Health, the city, and the mayor, and we've been in constant communication about, how to shape this. And I've gotten thumbs up from the health authorities and the people that we're working with here locally, saying thank you for these new protocols. We appreciate them. It's a heavy lift and it's hard. And of course, to move 100 artists and all the programming and the ticketing and everything else, it's a heavy lift for my team. It's a huge 11th hour pivot, but we believe that the circumstances out there in the world demand it and require it, and that I have an obligation as the person inviting thousands and thousands of people to come to this event, that it's a heavy responsibility that I feel. And so I will absolutely do everything I can. And of course, that's where it's going to be today. We don't know where we'll be in 3 weeks, but I'm my prayer, my hope out to the universe is that 3 weeks from today, we start off our kickoff at Blue Sky Ranch, which is going to be amazing. And then, 3 weeks from tomorrow, Song Summit, 2021 kicks off in as healthy and safe a way as we can to reduce the risk of transmission. And we just have 4 days of amazing creativity and inspiration and impact.
Wow. Well, my last question is going to be dumb by comparison. And that one is, your name's Ben Anderson. Ever gotten mail or confused as a music adjacent person for Benny Anderson from ABBA?
No, but I would be honored, because a guilty pleasure, I love ABBA, and Benny Anderson is a genius. So yeah, it would be my honor to be, confused with Benny Anderson.
Okay.